you go. Of tea.
Thank you.
Welcome to Transformational Women. My name is Charlie Starrett and I'm interviewing influential and inspirational women who talk and speak with clarity, compassion and confidence. And one of those people is Valerie Barrow, who I have interviewed for three separate parts so far. And this is part 4 of a wonderful set of interviews which will, I think, reveal a lot more about where you're coming from and where we are all heading towards throughout this particular part, because this is the one which I'm anticipating is the crowning glory of our 4-part series. I'm very excited to be back here interviewing you in a slightly different setting, but it's a beautiful place nonetheless. So I want to recap for our viewers that we've had a story of Valerie's life up to the present moment. We've been treated to some wonderful insights into the Gosford glyphs, for example, and the amazing things that have happened in your life in Sydney. And now here we are in rural New South Wales and about to go forward from the point where we left part 3, where you'd mentioned intriguingly, I guess for our viewers again for the first time watching this part, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to the previous segments, because this will all make much more sense. You'd mentioned Andromeda Val.
Yes.
Now, who is Andromeda Val and why is she important for this part?
Well, she approached me. I haven't actually said that she actually approached me back in after we returned from France, which was around 2015, so it was 2016. Normally I write down dates when something like this happens, but I just had such a shock because she awakened me probably about 3 o'clock at night, or in the morning, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And she was standing beside the bed. Well, I had a shock because she's very tall. She was, I'd say 6.5 feet, I think, or even more. She almost came to the top of the windowsill. And she was standing in, it was like a sci-fi scene, really. It was like this beam of light, a hologram.
Okay.
And she was standing there smiling and quite excited to make contact with me. And I got such a shock, and that was enough. She left.
Right.
But I did receive them insight as to...
So she's not a real person, like a flesh and blood person like us, or is she?
She is of another race, yes, I have found out since. She's actually comes from Andromeda. And she has been set up for me to, we've obviously agreed at another time, to allow her to come and borrow my voice box, as they say, and to speak, because she wants to try and tell people more about the galaxy Andromeda, which is M31, known by astronomers. And the fact is that she's there's so many light years away, and they talk about time as being different in some way, but there is a measurement, of course. Yes.
So she appeared in a column of light,
Yes.
and she's 6'5", 6'6",
Right.
6.5 feet, and then there she was next to your bed.
Yes.
In this house or somewhere else?
Yes, no.
In this house?
In this house, beside my bed, which was only about a metre between the bed and the wall.
Right.
Not that I think that would worry them really, but because she's coming not from a physical human body, Earth body, which is heavy with DNA of cells.
Yeah.
It's actually a light body.
And you didn't feel fear?
No, I got a shock because you don't usually wake up with somebody standing so tall beside the bed.
An amazing shock. I'm just trying to process it myself. You had your eyes open and you were looking at this 6 foot and 6.5 foot woman in a beam of light next to you, and you didn't feel...
I didn't feel afraid.
Except you felt shock.
I got a shock, yes, because she obviously awakened me so that I could see her.
Your eyes were open?
Yes.
I'm just trying to get all of this.
Yes, I wasn't dreaming. No, not dreaming. Although they can come in dreams, of course. There's no limit.
Yeah.
They have from I can't refer to it as upstairs, right?
Okay.
Because they're coming from other places, other worlds, other races, and that sort of stuff. They're real.
Okay, I accept that. And you didn't communicate in any way telepathically or
No,
with
not
words.
then. No. I think the idea was just to show herself, to show that she wasn't frightening. You know, she didn't have. She looked very human looking actually. And that's the message I've since received, is that they wish to make a communication, and it is a race they call the Avernus race, and it does have influence from our human race, and I could explain that a bit more.
Well, you might just have to, for the benefit of our viewers, say the name of that race again.
Adonis. It's Adonis.
Adonis.
Yes.
Okay, that was a Greek god.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
Adonis,
yes.
right. Thank you.
So they're very beautiful people in that they're easy for a human to look at and think of beauty as we see beauty.
Yeah.
And if you look inside people, of course, there's beauty there also.
Yeah.
And that is also with them. They are very benevolent, they're beautiful people, beautiful race. They have a kindness and a compassion and generosity in spirit. And they always want to help us. It's just that we need to ask. Because universally, the universal law is that they can't come in and just take over our lives. We have to make our own decisions.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's a very important point, that we actually are able to ask for help, but we have to do it with our conscious free will, our conscious permission. They won't just come in and take over. And that's really important, I guess, for our viewers to understand. That they're not like some forces that will just come in and take over you. They're there because you asked them to come in. And one other thing I think you mentioned, I think you found out later on, was that Andromeda Val is not is actually in the future.
Yes, that's right. That's sort of again talking about distance and time, and she has explained that in some of the work we've already done and been recorded. And she says to me that I'm actually as if it was 6,000 years ahead of our time here. And I think I've mentioned in previous
we did
parts,
mention the previous interview.
And how they were saying, you know, their technology is so far advanced to what we are here. And so, well, we just accept that. We just haven't got it yet. In fact, they're willing to share as much advice and technology as they can, but we have to show that we can be trusted with it and not misuse it. So it is advanced technology, and it does exist. And it is shown in many ways in science fiction. I think in a lot. I think it's known that a lot of science fiction comes true. I can remember, I think it was Buck Rogers, wasn't it? Well, I don't know, I've been before you. But he used to look at a watch and he had people speaking, but that's happening now. It's actually happening. Yes, so, you know, that sort of thing. It's like something we haven't or seen perhaps, but in science fiction they have been, what can I say, ideas and thoughts and inspiration into technicians here on Earth, and they put it to work and work on it.
And you just have to look at the work of Tesla, who was so far advanced of his time. And I'd encourage our viewers to go and research some of Tesla's insights and he was way before his time. So much so that much of his research was buried, and people like, for example, radio, Marconi got the credit for it, whereas it was actually recognised later on as Tesla.
Yes, that's right.
There are many examples of that. So people like him on this earth are showing us where the future is.
Yes, that's right. And the existence of free energy, by the way, but for some reason we haven't been able to captivate that yet. But
I think we know. I think we know what some reason is. It's for money.
Yes, probably. Yes.
So going back
transition makes it difficult. I think. Yes.
Going back to Andromeda Val.
Yes.
One thing that I'm very excited about in this interview is because I would like to have the opportunity to ask you your permission if Andromeda Val would like to come through and be present with us on this interview.
Well, she has actually made it known she'd like to. Yes.
Right.
So we can do that if you like.
I would love to do that.
Usually Cosmic Sai Baba comes first because he holds the door to entrance into that distance and the platform set up. This is something to do with advanced technology, which I don't understand, but it exists and it's very real. Where she comes from is a beautiful place, and she's benevolent. All those people are wanting to help us as much as they can. So So what about if we call upon Cosmic Sai Baba now and ask him if we're putting us in touch with Andromeda Bow?
I love that.
Right?
Thank you.
So I'll just set myself up a bit, and I usually rub this ring that Sai Baba gave me. It's almost like rubbing a magic lantern.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he said, when you look in there, I will be there. So we're calling upon Cosmic Sai Baba to make his presence, and we would like to speak to Andromeda Bow. If you will open the door to allow us to speak with her. We welcome his presence. I am here, and I am Cosmic Sai Baba, and I am very pleased to be here. I know you wish to speak to my friend Andromeda Bow, and so I am connecting you two now. It will be my pleasure to introduce her to you, my son. Andromeda Bow is now waiting, so we'll just take a minute to connect to her. I am Andromeda Bow, and I have spoken a number of times now through Valerie. At another level completely, we have agreed to this to take place at this time, in this time of your evolution of planet Earth. I have said before that the angelic realms of Andromeda have actually helped to create your planet. And so we feel some responsibility of its evolution and what has happened to it over the time of its existence, and we wish also to help with the human race and all living beings upon the Earth itself and the planet Earth itself. I'm very happy to be here, to be able to speak and maybe make a presentation, for I would like your viewers to know that the people from Andromeda, and in particular from where I come from, would very much like to present ourselves to whoever would be willing to talk to us and speak with us at a government level or even a United Nations level, because we have gathered many, many nations around the universe, and they are put together as a united planetary nation, a gathering of like-minded beings. They don't look the same, but they come from the heart of always wanting to help and to assist those that struggle to find, shall I say, the love of God and compassion and the warmth of giving and forgiving to the people that exist in many parts of your galaxy. And we are hoping that you will all start to realize who you really are. For I have to say, you are all from the stars. People from the stars have come here to this planet to help generate and create the human being that you are now. This human being that you come as you are, before you come into a little embryo and then a fetus, you come blessed with a soul consciousness, and in it is the mindset of what you are to be, what you are to grow into, and what you are expected or have agreed to live upon this planet Earth. You could say it is not an easy planet to live, but it is one that is helping many different races upon this planet and from other worlds. And so it is playing a great role in helping people to understand each other from different races around other worlds, other planets, other galaxies, so that you can unite in this united planetary nation that I speak of. For it is a very large group that only want to see peace and harmony and goodwill with all peoples that exist. in the universe and in the source of all creation. For that is where you have all come from in the first place. So I am happy to announce this, and it is an invitation that we are extending, that we will willingly come from the hierarchy and the leaders of our United Planetary Nations will come and readily communicate with your leaders here upon this planet Earth, so that understanding and communication can take place. And it would also help the humans upon this Earth to broaden their understanding and knowledge about things, and not be afraid to realize and accept that there are other beings in the world of the stars, you would say, and there is a need for a lot of understanding, acceptance, and exchanging of ideas, inspiration, and technology as well. This will help, we hope, for all the nations that live, or races, I should say, that live upon your planet Earth. For they feel separated, and they have shown themselves to be and act in separate ways. But really the human race is one. You are all the same. There is no difference. Some live in a different culture and a different way of understanding things, in understanding even creation. But if that was shared in a meeting between you all, as was inspired to have you in United Nations, then the sharing can take place and give more understanding, so that there is no fear or any doubt as to where someone is coming from, because sometimes in communication there is misunderstanding purely from the way something is phrased or translated from a different language. But if perseverance prevails, then you would continue to perhaps change the way something is explained in a different language or a different way of what you are meaning. You find that most times everyone is coming from a similar place. And so it is possible to find peace upon this earth without raising a weapon or threatening in any way. Thus then will come peace. People will feel safe and happy, and this is the way the creative source wants you to be, safe and free of fear. I would like to say something in my language, if I may, just a little time, so that you will know that I am coming from another place, and I do promise to actually translate what I say at another time. But for the moment, if you give me one moment, I will speak my language. Well, it might sound a bit strange, it may sound a little fast, and of course different measurements from different places, galaxies, universes, planets have different measurements, and so if you were to join us in our galaxy, you would find that the speech I have just spoken would sound much slower. The measurement, and when you come into that same measurement, it will balance out. Does that make some sense? And now, my son, I would like to know if you would like to ask a question. I come usually willingly to say 3 questions, not of a personal nature, but of the bigger picture. So can I help you in any way?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I was wondering, when you said that we've chosen to live in a difficult world, and you are willing to talk to governments and people that represent the people, how do we encourage them to get in touch with you if they're willing?
There are many actually that are medium, should we say, and channelers, and they can get in touch with whoever they know that channels from Andromeda, for that is from the birthplace of this planet. There is quite a history about that, of course, but it's far too long to explain at this time. And so I would suggest you could always contact me, and I would readily get back to the hierarchy and pass on the messages, if you like. Or there may be another way, but we speak telepathically, not through a voice box. And so it would be easy to get a message to an intent that you would like a meeting to take place. So does that help you, Martha?
That helps a lot. Thank you so much.
So is there another question?
The other question is, you talked about people channeling as a way of connecting, and it seems to me that there's a lot of people on this earth who are becoming more aware of that and becoming aware of those skills. How would you encourage those people who have just become aware of their channeling abilities to connect even more with that? How do we help those people to become even more powerful channels?
It is actually just practice. And of course, once channeling, you're actually an instrument, the being that is allowing the voice to speak through them, or the being to speak through them. And so it is a matter of having a willingness to hand over to a benevolent being. If they're not happy about the feel of the energy, then they should just ask them to leave. However, when they feel happy and connected, then I strongly suggest that they always record what is taking place, so that the one that is allowing the being to speak through their voice box, they can later listen to what is recorded, and that will help them to, shall I say, earth, or download into the brain, because it is coming from a different consciousness. With people that channel, they're actually coming through their soul consciousness. And from there, of course, it's coming from a much larger picture, which could be expanded on if you were to ask me. But that is how it would work. There is a sincerity and a desire to assist. And when we're coming from such a, shall we say, evolved place, there is a need to be respectful, grateful, and to actually, more than anything, be willing to serve. That helped me myself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, is there any more questions, or perhaps I should take my leave now?
Just one more question. How do you see ordinary people helping us on this earth to make it a less difficult place than the one we find it at the moment? What can they do on an individual level?
At an individual level, of course, there is a need for everyone to become aware of who they truly are. There is a lot of misunderstanding about when you leave your physical earth body, that you're dead and that's it. You go to the earth and that is it. But it is not, because there is a light body, which is a mirror image of your earth body. Some people would call it a ghost, but it is actually within you all your life. So if you can accept that and understand everything is energy, and so when the earth body goes back to the earth, at the time of the light body leaving, when people die, they don't die at all, they just continue on. It is said in science that energy is never destroyed, it changes form, and so that is exactly what happens with your light body until it moves on to the world of light, back to the source of creation from where it first came. Does that help you, my son, or do you want me to continue more?
That helps. It helps a lot in terms of awareness raising for individual people, and I think I could pursue that, but I think I really appreciate you being here and asking me if I have questions, and I think asking you 3 questions and receiving those answers was a wonderful and very beautiful thing. Thank you, Andromeda Val.
Thank you, my son. Thank you. I will take my leave now. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. I'm back now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I find that if I have my eyes closed, I'm not distracted, because I have actually tried to open or close them while I'm channeling, and I find that it hurts my eyes later because I'm not in control of that either.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hand myself over and leave it as it is.
Yeah.
So,
You're listening to Charlie Starrett of Transformational Women, and I have the wonderful opportunity today to have part 4 of our series of interviews with Valerie Barrow, which to me, as I was anticipating at the beginning, has already reached heights I could not have imagined. And I'm very, very grateful that I'm here and that you were able to call on Andromeda Val. One of the things that occurred while you were channeling was that I felt this amazing experience in my heart, almost as if it was expanding,
yes.
Just sitting next to you as you were channeling then. It was a feeling of great warmth and a feeling of familiarity.
Oh, lovely. I like that.
There was a feeling of, it wasn't like, it wasn't something completely weird or out of my,
Yes,
it wasn't making me go, oh my God, this is weird. I felt very at peace
yes.
listening to it, and very accepting of it as well. Like, this is completely normal.
That's great,
to me.
Charlie. Yes, that's really great.
I just wanted to express that.
Yes, I'm glad you did, actually. That's lovely. Yes, that makes it, because everything, as they say, right from the very beginning, when they started working with me and leading me to the place where I am now, they have said that everything is energy. And so it's our feeling and the energy that is the main thing, I think. And if we like the energy, run with it. If you're unsure, then just ask it to go away. And in the name of the Creator.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question, not about not Andromeda Val channels as such, but more about, because I know sometimes you don't remember what she said,
no, that's right.
and that's
I have to
fine.
wait and listen.
We have to listen to the tape afterwards.
Right.
But one of the things about that was that how did you and how do you explain to others what a channel actually is, and how important that is in terms of our evolution?
Yes, with great difficulty.
With great difficulty. Okay, with great
but
difficulty.
I just examples and just encourage them not to be fearful, and if they feel they want to go along that path, something's drawing them, then they can receive help from people like me already doing it.
So what I wanted to ask, what I wanted to get across to our viewers is that, from what I've understood in conversation with you outside of interviews, is that we all have an ability to channel.
Yes, I think everybody's psychic, but they tend to brush things off and think it's imagination. And when you think about the image, it's a nation of images and it's in the light, so we wouldn't have anything to see if we didn't have images. So it's a bit foolish brushing off something as imagination. There's nothing to take notice of. It's everything, actually. And so if it catches your eye, or if you feel it pulls you in some way and you've really got to focus on it, then run with that. And the psychic ability is in everybody. It's just that people haven't developed it or haven't taken it seriously. But I have found when I'm talking to people, I just say I'm a medium. And some I lose them, their eyes glaze over and they walk away. But others will say, well, I've never told anybody this before, and they want to share something that's happened and they're not sure about it. So we can help them, and then they're happy because they really realise the reality of it. Right? And that's the important thing.
And I think what we'll do is we'll call a halt to this interview.
Yes.
Simply because I think we've reached a peak.
Yes.
And anything we say after this is going to be coming off that peak. So we're going to leave it on a high for our viewers. And thank you so much. This is Charlie Starrett, Transformational Women, and I've been having the great pleasure of going through part 4 and part 3 and part 2 and part 1 with Valerie
I've enjoyed
Barrow.
it too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you.